12, and that's based on line 9 instead of line 4.
I know that's a proposal, you know, to stabilize the debt. Is this just a Band-Aid? I mean, and the reason I ask that is, it's almost giving you that false sense of security that you're keeping your tax rate down, but eventually that fund runs out, and then what happens? Because it's not
Well,
like
in-
debt service is an increasing
In
rate.
2026, you'll see on line 5 that debt service needs go down by 17,400. In 2027, they go down by 73,400, and they continue to go down in 2028. And I have, just for the sake of it,
Yeah, please.
I have dropped in a couple $1 million of hypotheticals so that it's not artificial because we've extended the length of this plan.
Mark and I have had conversations, and just, it looks like it goes down, but when you get to that year, you're gonna be borrowing, you still have capital needs, your roads still repaired, your alleys still, your sidewalks, you go through the next cycle. So my concern is, I wanted to state it right off the bat, that rather than other communities that may not be doing this method, they are now looking at how they can make incremental cuts over the 10-year period, okay? If I don't want people to, you know, to be falsely secure with saying, well, we're going to stabilize it using all of our general fund, and then when we get to that end, we haven't made any, we aren't educating, no one's educating us enough to say, now you're either going to make a drastic cut. So is it better to really know what we have? I'm not disagreeing with we need to stabilize the debt. I just want to understand and us to discuss the fact that it's not lowering our debt. It's using what we have,
It's management.
and we're not making the cuts right now, but we're putting those off for 10 years. And I don't like doing that. I prefer to do an incremental cut every year rather than a wham bang, now you're in the hole and you need to quickly like eliminate the police department. So that's what priority budgeting kind of does. I like this approach that it helps not kill the taxpayers all at one time, but we really can't feel like we've now balanced our budget and not raised taxes too much because we're just putting off the problem.
Well, if I could add just a couple comments to that. When we get into the mid-2020s, we're now retiring debt faster than we're issuing it under the proposed schedule that we've got here. We just finished talking about how alley reconstruction will have been completed. So that's going to
And
kind
all
of,
our water mains are going to break. I just feel
well,
like
that's not necessarily going to be GO debt, but that's not lost on me either. I mean, and then the road reconstruction, as far as hard surface reconstruction, those projects we're wrapping up, and we'll be doing more isolated work and maybe some mill and overlay, much more cost effective. And then the reconstruction debt from 2016 and 2014, those debt payments dissipate and are substituted with presumptively a somewhat lower levels going down in the future.
that's the best case scenario. And I
Yes.
appreciate that perspective. There's also a moderate case scenario. There's also a worst case, meaning your laterals explode and you need to replace the whole system. So there's, I'm a moderate looking person. I like the both perspective, getting a comprehensive view, but I can't fathom that the infrastructure needs are going to go down that much, especially with costs that increase and our aging, our infrastructure is aging. So no matter, every community thinks after 50 years of redoing the roads, then you start over. So I just want to make sure that people understand that this does not show really a lot of costs, and that's why you see that debt level going down. If the debt level stayed the same as today, like we borrow for infrastructure at the same level, I'd like to know what that means, because we'll run out of general fund in 10 years and we've made no cuts. And that's the perspective I really just want to understand.
I can do that for you today.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, this is really I'm looking at these 2018, 19, major, we're doing some major work here. The police department building, both phases. We're
Police
not
Department,
gonna be doing
Wilson
that.
Drive.
DPW's not
Wilson
in
Drive, that's gonna last.
here. Oakland Avenue's not in here.
Yeah, that's what bothers me.
Yeah, I mean, there are, you may say that, I get that, everyone thinks they're done at a certain point, but that's what your job as a municipality, you're gonna continue to have infrastructure. And I want someone to say that besides me, someone, please say, we're gonna have.
I haven't heard anyone not say that,
Right.
and I haven't heard anyone say that we're not committed to doing that exercise.
Right.
I mean, I never have thought that, so I can't speak for
So,
anyone else.
but I mean,
But I also, that the bids will start to close, and that revenue will come into our general fund at that point. No.
No, we'll defer our tax base, but there's no
it won't affect
extra
the.
revenue generated, it just lowers the tax rate.
Right, okay.
So when you look at line 11, is that basically the utilization of fund balance?
That is
On
the
a
stream of
cumulative
funds
basis.
that would be required to stabilize at 5%, given the baseline project schedule. And again, I'm more than willing to entertain if the board feels that in 2023, Oakland Avenue is going to need to be reconstructed for $6 million.
Absolutely.
I'm more than willing to entertain that. I don't necessarily believe that to be the case. And of that, I think a lot of those funds, in the end, you got to help me, but doesn't the state contribute to, I know Capitol Drive they do, what about
That's a
Oakland
state
Avenue?
road.
They would not for Oakland
It's
Avenue.
not a state road.
They do, but for Lake Drive they do. So
Yes.
Oakland would be on the village's,
Capital.
So let me just finish my question on line 11 there. So in 10 years, it's approximately $3 million there, 2,940. And that is basically, the source of that would be fund balance.
the source of that is lines 13 through 17, according to this proposed plan,
Which is general fund reserve.
which is our general fund reserves, a significant portion of general fund reserves that we currently have that are over the 30% designated for use of cash flow, and 25% of that is cash flow and 5% of that is, for lack of a better word, contingency.
Which we need for a bond rating, kind of. We need a reserve. Is that why we keep a 30% reserve? Or is it
You
just our own
need that for
costs?
operations, but your bond rating will go down
Right.
if you burn up all of your fund balance, because that is an important item to the rating agencies. They want to know that you can not only preserve it, but sustain a reasonable balance. They're going to be looking at about 25%. Your policy is at 30, so as long as you stay at 30, you'll be fine.
Thank you.
So on line 15, just to kind of tie this together before we have any more extensive discussion. We already received bond premium proceeds from the 2016 debt issue in the amounts reflected to be used in 2018 and 2019 for a debt service. The purpose of, I don't want to say the purpose. The requirement for bond premiums is that they be used to offset debt service payments. So those will be in the debt service schedule irregardless for the next 2 years. Line 16 and 17 reflect payments that will be coming in from the sewer and water utility advances that the board issued a number of years ago, which would otherwise fall right to fund balance in the general fund. So those are monies in addition to what we currently have that would just fall to general fund balance, and it would start building up that unassigned fund balance again over that 40%.
Is there any other bond proceeds, like in the middle of the year, we kind of allocate some extra bond proceeds for projects when they're left over? Can those fall and be used for debt service? So like, there was some laterals and we allocated because there was extra bond proceeds. The cops wanted us to utilize some for asphalt, which we didn't vote on yet. But can any of those be utilized for debt service?
So if we borrow the money, so what you're saying,
Spend it.
if we borrow the money and then
Didn't use it.
chose not to use it for projects, but wanted to put it to pay back the money we borrowed? Yes, yes.
That's what happens to it.
Right.
Any money that's left over rolls into your debt service fund. Every place I've ever been, we tried to avoid that. We always had a list of projects that exceeded available resources. And so if we could, as long as we had good viable projects, we tried to use the proceeds. So if we get done here and we've got $100,000 left in alleys 2 years from now, we would do another alley.
Even if you were in looking at this, same situation?
Yeah, we would try to use up the proceeds.
I mean, when we borrow money, we're, paying a third to 40% interest. Why should we borrow money to pay back money we borrow? I mean, let's say double borrow.
No, you wouldn't do that, but if you have, actually state law requires, if you have money left over at the end of 3 years that you can't reprogram and use legally, then it automatically rolls into your debt service fund. So that's what happens to any bond proceeds that are left by state law. The issue is we never run out of projects, so we try to expense those for improvements.
Well, the other practical applications from the time that I've been here is that if we have any money residual, we program it against the amount of money, the new money we need to borrow to perpetuate the next 2 years. So it does reduce our borrowing needs.
If we lower the next year's amount, if we don't keep it the same.
No, if we have $250,000 left over for, at the end of this year, and we're gonna borrow more money in 2018, we reduce the amount of money we borrow in 2018 by $250,000 because we've got that money already. And if the projects that we're gonna commit to that are what we're trying to identify to the best of our ability, this far in advance.
Mark, I want you to walk me through, starting with the $1.2 million right there, and what happens over time as you're using this money. I
Sure.
want to make sure
So-
that we all understand this.
Line 11 shows the cumulative needs that would be required to implement a 5% control on debt service tax levy increases over the period of this plan. And again, as I started to, barring again, tens of millions of dollars of unforeseen projects that come up within the scope of this plan, debt service costs continue to drop off in 2018, or 2028 and further out. So this is not a partial, this is actually the end of that list. After that, we do not need to stabilize
Use
that.
numbers since you're talking.
Okay.
Give me numbers. So in what year?
So
$190,000.
on line 18, we had 1.2 million plus the 2 advance payments, 39,000, 75,000, 1.314 million dollars in row 18 for 2017. Then, again, this is,
And what are we going to do with that money?
that money is under consideration as the next agenda item for the board to commit and dedicate to achieving the goals of stabilizing the debt service over this time frame as at least projected on line 11.
So are we paying down debt with it, or we were just really, most of it's going to interest?
We're reducing the tax levy that will be required to pay our debt service.
But in the meantime, we're paying more towards our debt service, right? We're paying more towards debt service by utilizing on 2018, 1.3 million of our general fund. So how much principal is being reduced by paying that extra 1.3 million?
Our debt service payments don't change. They are what they are based on implementation of, what changes is the amount of tax money that needs
Right.
to be. Now,
use numbers and
So it-
explain it from the side. I just want him to do it on his own right now.
All right, so line 11 lists the amount of money we need to achieve that goal of managing our tax levy increase for debt service and accomplishing our project plans to 5% per year.
So in 2018, we need $190,000.
Correct.
To do that.
So when you look below on line 18, you'll see that when you add the amounts from 2017 plus the amounts from 2018, we would have at that point $1,552,911 available to pay that $190,835.
So line 19 is line 18 minus line 11?
That's correct.
Okay. You made the spreadsheet, so I just wanted to.
Well, I'm
I don't
trying to
see-
answer as many questions as
Keep
I
going.
can at the same
Keep
time.
going. All right.
So line 19 shows the